Hello, I am back again. I know I really considered changing my voice to like a voiceover or something like that to get you, a different voice. But someone reminded me, why would you deprive people of such a melodious voice? And so I decided to finish out this series with my own voice. So uh, you're welcome. But here you go. So we are now in step 4 of our process of obtaining vital information prior to logging on to QUIRE, and we finally get to the point where we get to log in and fill out these sections, okay, that we need you to do as co-writers of this report. And remember, we had a whole list of resources that we wanted you to use, but here is step 4. These are the sections of QUIRE that you will be working with. And remember, again, do not pay too much attention to these section numbers because I will do a whole nother sheet that will be according to each assignment company. But this one happens to focus on EMG, uh, that assignment company, which is why you see these sections. I'll do another one that's for AEI, and another one for GEM, and another one for Nova, and so on and so on. Okay, but this one focuses on EMG. Okay, the first thing we want to do when logging into QUIRE is the report tags, and that's what this video is only going to cover, the reports tag section. Okay, I'm going to do a video for each one of these. There will be 4A, 4B, 4C, 4D, and 4E. Report tags, physical settings, adjacent property use, historical use, and the local agency records. Those are really the 5 sections that we want you to be able to fill out when in QUIRE. Okay, and each one of those sections, some of them have subsections within them, okay, that you'll fill out. But we're going to cover this video on report tags for this section. So here we are in QUIRE. Okay, we only, for EMG reports, we only have one login address. That's because I've explained it to people who were here at the on-site training. EMG right now only want to acknowledge that we have one writer. Okay, they only want that writer to look like it's Nico Sharkey. But they understand I might have a team. They just don't want to get into a thing where they will have multiple people coming after them for payment. And so maybe they, I assume maybe something has happened like that in the past. So they say, look, we only want one email address. That means that we can only log into EMG. One person can only be in there working on a report at a time. However, if we follow the structure that we have, that won't be a problem for us because none of us will be in there too long working on any part of the report. You'll go in, this person who is doing the co-write should be in there first, and then the field manager should be in there second, and then the senior reviewer, which is me, would be in there third. Okay, so that is how we have it set up. So we shouldn't ever have to step on each other's toes if everyone is doing their part. Okay, so the login for EMG docs, we hit login up here and it's already logged in. Let me log back out so we can see the whole process. Log in, and now I have multiple email addresses and logins saved on my computer. If you don't see your name there, don't get offended talking about why my email address is not added. It's, it was all preliminary. Selena Jones is there. She got one because she was actually supposed to sign on like 2 years ago, and she's just coming on board this year. It doesn't really matter. So I could take all these names out of it. They won't mean anything. But nonetheless, EMG's login happens to be in Sharkey, EMG at eagrouptn.com. That's what you'll use for EMG reports. Okay. The password will be real 9799 with a capital R in front, the rest of it lowercase. Okay. But that's already in my memory of my computer. I'll send you that by email again. You'll have that login information. Once you log in, see these two here. These are the actual reports we've been assigned. Okay. And you see we've done a lot of them for EMG, 225 reports. So that's another reason why they are giving us work and passing a lot of projects off to us because we've done a great job for them. And so Over to the right, these are recently edited projects. That's a project that someone has recently come in and worked on. Okay. Over here is just recently shared. That's just all of the projects. As soon as they release them to us, they are in this menu. Okay. And all I'm doing right now is just hovering my mouse or cursor over this section, and then I can use my roller to just scroll all the way down. Same thing if I move it over to this section, I only scroll and follow that one. It doesn't which one should you use, it doesn't really matter. All of the projects will be listed in this one. All of them would not be listed over here because, once again, if they haven't been edited, it won't be on this side of the screen. So for your part, if you're the first person to log in on this report, you will look for it in this middle section here. And what do we want to find? We want to find Medical Lodges, Goddard, Kansas. That's been the focus of this video training, Goddard, Kansas. So I found it there, and I'm just going to click one time. I don't have to double click that link. All right. And so now we load, and here we go. On the right side of QUIRE, you will have what the report actually looks like, or the sections of the report spelled out. This is all kind of instructional language, and this is another thing for you. You know, this template or this, it has instructions for every single section. Okay, so really, you could log in here on some days if you want to educate yourself and learn this stuff. There are all kinds of avenues out there for you to learn this. If you want to log in one day and play around in here, make sure that no one else is logged in working, of course. But if you get bored and you're saying, look, man, I'm really trying to get good at this stuff. I know where Nico is trying to go with the company. I want to be a part of that. When he grows, when he blows up, I want to blow up with it and have a nice second income coming into my house. Hey, it's instructions in here. I'm going to teach you as much as I can, but there are ways. There are instructional language in blue on every section. Look at that. Everything. It'll help you understand every single section of this report. If you are an avid reader who likes to read instructions and stuff like that, you got help that's in there. Okay. That blue language cannot be touched or deleted or changed or anything like that. Also, understand things in gray in QUIRE cannot be touched or changed. The only thing we can change is things in red or black. Okay, we can change red or black language, but we cannot touch grayed out areas, and we cannot touch blue. Blue language can be deleted from sections like this, but your instructional language, let me go back, like we see there in here at the top, go quicker. This language right here, we can't modify. The bold blue, shall I say, we can't do anything with. Unbolded blue, which is like regular blue, like we saw down here, I can delete that, and I need to. Okay, because that's just instructional text in my section. I will be able to delete that. Okay, so what we're going to go over today is how to do the report tags. The first section I must fill out in QUIRE actually doesn't happen over here to the right. It happens right up here. See that? Report tags. You need to go in there. What are report tags? Report tags is information that is automatically tabulated throughout the report. You enter it into a cell, much like an Excel file, it's going to look like in there, and that information automatically tabulates in all of the areas that it might appear in the report. Okay, so once I open up my report tags, they have these sections here: administrative section, property information section, utility companies, municipal agencies, that's the local agencies, the FOIAs, remember we pulled that. The natural hazard zones, I'll show you how to get that information. Combo cross-check, that is when we have a PCA and an ESA being done on a site. That is not for you. You don't even have to worry about that right now, not currently. ESA section, this is the earliest historical source year. We're going to go over that part. And the rest of this, you don't have to touch. And so I'll tell you the sections that you need to be concentrated on that you will have to fill out some information in. You will have to fill out a little bit in the administrative section, only a couple of these first 4 cells over here. Purpose of the report, the on-site date, project manager, and the project writer. Those are the only 4 in the administrative section that you need to worry about. The property information section, you are in charge of making sure all of this is filled in. Sometimes if you're lucky, it'll already be there, but site ID you don't have to ever worry about. Okay, the year renovated, usually that's going to come out of the field, and so you don't have to necessarily worry about that either, unless they gave it to you on the project work plan. If they gave that date to us, you can put that year in there. Okay, all the rest of this will be information I'll show you how to obtain. Utility company, that's information. It's been filled there for you. I'm going to take it out just so you'll know. We can go through the training here. Teach you how to do all of it. Municipal agencies, that information is currently blank. You have to do that. And the natural hazard zones, I'll show you where to get that information from. You'll skip combo cross check, and then you'll come down, and all we have to fill out here is the earliest historical source year. I will show you how to get that. You don't have to worry about lab sample tracking. Okay, but we'll go through each one of these now. Okay, so the very first thing I'm working with here is in my administrative section. I told you we needed to do purpose of the report, on-site date, project manager, and project writer. Well, let me go ahead and take care of 2 of these easily for you. The project manager and project writer will always be Nico Sharkey. Okay, for now, until EMG gets to a point where they actually want to give an entire team credit, but this person who writes this report is actually the person that can be sued for this information if it's wrong. So if you want to put yourself in that group, then by all means type your name in. But right now, because Nico Sharkey is the one that they are handing a report to, that no matter what happens, no matter who does it, they're going to hold accountable for the information that's in there. If the bank finds anything that's wrong, somebody buys one of these properties and they find that there's an underground storage tank there, and who went to the site and didn't tell us it was there, but they're going to come back to this person. They're going to say, who's the project manager and writer? Hey, we need him in court. Okay, so because I'm the person that's taking on that liability, please only put my name in those blocks. Okay, that's for every report until further notice. All right, on site date, how do I find that information? Remember, one way is for you to simply ask the field manager, hey, Tony, Nico, Parrish, whoever, what day did y'all go to this property? But another way you can find it, remember, in the project name, the folder that you downloaded off ShareFile. See that visit date right there? That's the date that we went on site. It should already be in the folder name. Okay, and so that's when we told the client that we went to the site. In fact, as soon as we get the job, they ask us, what day are you going? So that date actually has to be determined up front when we get the job. Okay, we don't, we usually call the on-site people and schedule that time, and then we make our folders. And so we saw that date there was August the 29th, and yes, it needs to be spelled out. No abbreviated dates or anything when we and it is 2018. Trying to get too fast there. A year older. Good grief. On-site date. So you got the project writer, project manager, on-site date. Okay, and where did I find that information? One way, again, you can ask the field manager, or you downloaded that date. Actually, it was in that folder name that you downloaded from ShareFile in step 1. Okay, and the visit date is right there, 8/29 of this year. Okay, so I wrote August 29th. Okay, the purpose of the report. If you are doing an EMG, they care about purpose. Now, I don't think AEI, they don't want us, they don't need us to fill that in, but EMG does want us to fill that in. And so where do you get that information from? It says from what? Look at that, great. PWP. Remember, back in step number 1, I told you what a PWP was? Stands for Project Work Plan. Okay, remember that document? That is found inside of the folder that you downloaded. So I'm gonna go back to my folder and I'm gonna find the PWP. There it is right there. I'm gonna open that bad boy up, and the purpose of the report on my PWP, it is called assessment reason. That is the same as purpose of report. Again, purpose of report is the same as assessment reason. The reason here is for financing of a new loan. Okay, so that gives me my purpose. I'm just going to hit this arrow for the drop down. We get financing right there. It doesn't say new loan, but that's the same thing. Financing. All right. Simple as that. I've gotten my administrative section. You don't have to fill in any of this other information. Okay. This should already be here. And some of this should already be here. You don't have to worry about that. Okay. You done with that part of the report tags. Next, we're going to do property information. Okay. This, once again, the site name, the address, the site, city, the county, and the state and the zip code will already be there. I promise you. I've never come into a report that didn't have that information already there. So you won't have to fill that in. You will start with your acreage. Okay. Here it says 0. Well, that's impossible. Okay. So we know that number is not correct. So where can I find the acreage? Well, I can look back at the PWP and see if they have it there. So I look back at the PWP and, oh no, it's not there. Okay. So now I'm going to need help from my field manager, because I've just run into a case where the acreage here is not right. It's not listed here. So where is it? Where is it? But look down here. Thank God they gave us this information. Okay. Now, if you don't see it on here or down here anywhere, it's probably going to be that you're going to need to contact your field manager to get it. Or, watch this. Whatever we don't give you, you get to skip it and just go to the next thing. Okay? It's not your problem. Remember, the whole objective for a co-writer is that you should be provided all of the information that you need. Okay? Now, another way that sometimes we can find this information without contacting the field managers, if we look in here and find something called a survey. Okay? But I don't see that they gave us one. Okay? They didn't give us a survey. Another thing, the RIMS 3 report sometimes comes directly from the bank. You can click on that, but I'm not seeing on here where the bank even listed acreage. Okay, so you don't have a survey. It's not listed, on the RIMS report. Another place you could have looked, the previous report. Maybe the last one they did. I'm sure, if they did the same property, it may be listed in there. And look, they got land. They got it listed in there, 4.13 acres. Okay. So I found the acreage, but that's just, I don't necessarily want you pulling out your hair in order to find that number. Why do I not want you doing that? I really would like you to rely on the field manager and this PWP. Here's why. The last report only had 4.13 acres. That covered one parcel. But you remember in our tax map? Remember our tax map? Let me pull that tax map back up. The bank is now adding a parcel to this. On this new report, the 4.13 represents this block. They are adding this block over here now. Okay? And so we actually are going to have to change that number. Okay? So, needless to say, you haven't been given the most accurate information when it comes to the acreage. Okay? So I don't want you to panic. I'm going to do one other thing here. I'm going to pull up the property cards and see if we can get an acreage number off the property card. Basic value, I'm looking for acreage number. Just scanning here. Once again, I don't want you spending too much time with this. If you don't have it and you just can't find it, you can leave it blank. And remember, that's just an email that I need to send. So right now, I'm looking through all this stuff. I'm about to reach my 3-minute point that I gave. No more than 3 minutes on any section. And it's like, you know what? I don't see the acreage anywhere. I've done enough. I'm not finna let one sale hold me up on doing the rest of these. So I'm just gonna wait, and I'm gonna send Nico an email to say, hey Nico, do you have a final acreage number? Okay, you've done all you can. After you've done all you can, don't stand, but just move on to the next one. So I'm gonna just leave that blank. I'm gonna delete the 0. Okay, property type, I might have that. I remember that from being covered in the PWP. Type is a healthcare nursing home. Okay. Another name for healthcare nursing home, sometimes they're called assisted living, and then other times they are called senior living or skilled nursing. All those names. Uh, Whichever one you choose, you won't be wrong. When I got on site, I actually discovered that they refer to themselves as skilled nursing and assisted living. Okay, so that's what I put. This block, though it has arrows here, you can also type inside of it. Okay, so the arrows don't stop you. You don't have to only use what they have. You can actually be more specific in this block if you like. But all of those names are pretty much similar to each other: skilled nursing, senior living, um, assisted living, nursing home. But like I said, I got on site and they refer to themselves as skilled nursing and assisted living. This is a pick 'em. You can take your pick that comes, whatever comes the closest to what it said in the PWP. Okay, put that in there. Move on. Okay, year of construction again, 1962. They gave us that year. I'm putting that in that block. Year of renovation. Sometimes they put it on here. All right. Year of renovation. This is built in phases. That's another one that I just caught that myself. Phases means they added to this property, and I think I know the portion that they added. It's that extra little parcel over there. So actually, my construction year is going to have 2 years. Okay. Renovation means that they might have renovated all of those buildings, but I'm not going to consider 2015 a renovation year. And based on how things looked when I went in there, they didn't touch that old building when they built the new ones. And so I'm going to leave both of those as construction years. Okay. Renovation years, just leave it blank. You weren't given that information. Number of buildings. Now this is going to change. Initially there was only one, but if I look back at this tax map, and based on confirmation on site, they have 1 building, they have 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so there's actually 4 buildings there, and so I'm gonna change that number to 4. Okay, zoning. Okay, I need to be given that information. Okay, so that's another piece of information that should have been inside of our folder that we were given. It's not there. I don't see anything on here that says zoning map or something like that. So that, once again, is something that you can leave blank. Or you can try to search the previous report to see if they had the zoning on the previous report. How do you do that? Well, I go in my previous report. You can actually search by pressing Control F. I can search even a PDF report using this program, and even you can too. Zoning records, look at that. City of Goddard, multifamily use R3. That's what the zoning is. Alright, so I just cheated a little bit and used that previous report. What if I don't have a previous report? And what if y'all didn't give me the zoning? You leave it blank, remember? You don't hold yourself up. That's just a note. You're going to make a note and you're going to send an email to your field manager and ask them to send you the zoning. Okay. Number of units. This is something that you won't know unless you're given the information again. Jay says number of units, but on this paper it says 85. Now, if you put 85 in that block because it's on PWP, you're absolutely right. Okay. Now, it happens that when I got on site, that number was totally different. Okay, there was not. It was actually 85 beds, but it's not 85 units. Units is how many rooms there are. Beds is how many total beds they are licensed for. Okay, but I got on site and I found out that 60 or 85 wasn't right. What they gave me is actually 72 now. They have 60 rooms in the original building. If I pull over here, what I got on site and found out, there were 60 rooms in this building. And then these were 12 apartments over here. Okay, 4 apartments per building over here. So my total units actually are going to be 72. Okay, but what number should you put? That's for the field manager to come in and change. They told you 85 right here. Put 85 and you are okay. Okay, but since I'm actually doing this report, and I visited the site, I'm gonna go ahead and correct that information as we go along here. All right. Next piece of information: gross building area. What is the square footage of this building? This number is actually going to be changed, but for your purposes, again, put what you've been given. They gave you this number of 35,079 square feet. You put that number. Actually, that number is going to change once I go in and verify the square footage that was added to this once they added the apartment buildings. And does this have a basement? The answer is yes. Okay. Would you know that? No. Again, that probably is it's gonna default to no for you. Okay. Unless the field manager has specifically told you through project notes or something like that. And sometimes you'll have a sheet on here that have on-site notes will be inside of this. We have been deemed to actually take notes while we're on site, and so sometimes you'll have that information. But again, the number one rule of thumb is if we didn't provide the information, do not let it hold you up. You go ahead and move on. Okay, leave it as no. Okay, title, image, picture. That's not, you don't have to worry about that. That's a field manager's or reviewer's job to make sure that picture is there. Next section here, domestic water. Okay, all right. I erased this information once before because I wanted to take us through it. Okay, but on site, this is another piece of information that should be provided to you by the on-site representative. There should be, once again, there's going to be a notes document in here. The only reason you don't see it in this example is because I'm the one writing the report, and so of course I haven't really done all of my steps. But you'll see a document in here that says on-site notes or on-site questionnaire, ESA questionnaire. It'll have this information in it. But the domestic water is a public utility, and it's simply the city of Goddard. Okay. The electric company, or what's Westar Energy. Again, this is information you should have been provided. Okay. Natural gas, this is Kansas Gas. And the domestic sewage, according to on-site investigation, came out to be a septic tank on-site. Okay. That information again will be given to you. What do I do if I don't have it? Leave it blank. Move on to the next section. Municipal agencies. You have this because this is information that you looked up on your own. Remember, you filled out those forms. Remember these? We call them the FOIA documents. That's the same thing. Okay. So for the building department, remember we have the Goddard Community Development with Tim Johnson. Okay. And as far as this goes, it's only asking for that department name. And it's already got, in my arrows, it already got examples there. And we just need to type over the X's and put Goddard. What years do I put? Well, what I typically like for people to do is to start with the construction date through the current. Okay, because when we call them, that's exactly what we're going to ask them about those years. They give you an example of how it should look there. Just replace your X's with whatever the construction year was. 1962, and do that for all three. So you can really just go ahead and copy and paste that in all three blocks there. For building department years, fire department years, planning department years, we're going to ask them from the time it was built all the way to now. Fire department, remember, we looked up that and found out it was the Sedgwick County Fire Department. All right, Sedgwick County Fire Department was the name. So I'm going to just put that in there. Remember, I can do both the arrow thing and type it in. You can type in. And finally, the planning department, if you remember when we looked it up, Tim with the community development also handled that. So all of that information came out of the same office. Okay, the building department information and the planning department came out of the same office for this. So I'm going to come up to my building department and I'm going to copy and paste that information there. There you go. You're almost done with all of the sections that you could possibly do. natural hazard zones, and this involves the flood zone and radon. Where do I get those from? Those come from the physical uh, setting report. Okay, the PSR. See that? Remember that report I told you about that I love so much? Physical setting report. I'm looking for my flood zone information and my radon zone. Over here to the left, you'll see flood maps. I click on that and it shows me X-12. What does that mean? I come down here and it's just flood zone X, area of minimal flood hazard. Okay, and it's in green. Okay, so flood zone X is what we're looking for. We're going to do our menu here and we're looking for zone X. But we come down and it's it's X shaded and X unshaded. So initially you might assume, well, it was shaded in green, so I'm going to choose X shaded. Actually, that's not what we want you to do. For your purposes, we always want you to choose X unshaded. Alright? If your map says X12, just say X unshaded. Everybody get that? If it's different, the field manager or reviewer will change that. Okay? But for your purposes, if it's X, it'll be X unshaded. Now, your property could have been sitting over this A01, okay, up here. Okay, what if our property was sitting up there? Then we would have to change that and find that instead. You'd be looking for A01. Well, again, it's these numbers behind there don't matter as much as the letter. Okay, so you'll just put zone A. Okay, don't worry about the number as much. This one says X12. Well, we're just looking at it's X. Zone X, zone A. Okay? Again, don't panic. You put it in zone A, but I want to put it back to the correct one, and I'm going with X unshaded. My radon zone. What is that? I'm looking back at my physical setting report. Move that back over in your view now. I'm just over here. I'm going to find radon information. Y'all see that? Radon information for this county, Sedgwick, is 2. That is zone 2. It tells you what those meanings are there, but that's for analytical purposes for the lab if we should have to collect radon samples. But for this purpose, I'm just going to put zone 2. Alright. Remember, you don't have to do combo cross check. That's for the field manager or reviewer. Last thing you have to do on this page is the earliest historical source year. How do I determine that? This is a competition now between your area photos, your city directories, your Sanborn, remember that, fire insurance map, or your topos. Which one of these 4 sources has the earliest year? That's what goes in that block. Okay? So I'm going to start with my U.S. aerials. It goes back, my earliest year is 1956. Okay? Right now they're in the lead. Open up city directories. Let me zoom in so you can see here, and it looks like they go back to 1964. Oh no, they didn't even beat the aerials. They in second place now. Go to Sanborn, and Sanborn, they don't even have no maps. They told us right here there are no Sanborns. Basically, if you get this one page, there's nothing there. That means they had no Sanborns, okay? No information was found for the site or adjacent properties. That means that this was not a city area back in the day. It means it was rural county, and it still is. And so you wouldn't have Sanborns for anything in the county anyway. And here we go. Right now, 1956 is in the lead. And it looks like 1956 wins. Here we go. Because the earliest topo we have is 1965. So our earliest year is 1956. You'll understand later on when we go through the historical write-up why that date is important that you just put in there. This is how you fill out the report tag information in QUIRE. Okay, I promise you, when you fill out an AEI report, it doesn't change much. Even though we're doing an EFG, it's really the same approach. Some of the information that's here won't be on AEIs, okay? But I think you will understand the more you do these, and the repetition will help you kind of understand exactly what to look for when you come into here. But the first step after logging into QUIRE is to come in and fill out report tags. Again, I know this video over 30 minutes long here, but having detail and going through every piece, walking through every single piece is going to be beneficial in the long run. I would like for you to be looking at these videos actually while you're doing a real report. That is the best approach to it, to kind of help walk you through the entire process. All right. Until the next section here, we're going to cover. It'll be next on the list. It'll be the physical settings section, which is the geology and all that stuff. For EMG reports, it's section 4.0 through 4.4. We will be doing that next on the next video. Stay tuned. God bless.